I'm going to get started. I believe Julie is on somewhere. She does not have video, but she is on. So obviously, if there's any questions I have, Julie can obviously take herself off mute. Welcome to our second virtual meeting. Appreciate everybody coming. We've got 63 people on. This is being recorded. So hopefully the last time the recording, there was something that got messed up with the recording and I wasn't able to post it to the website because we didn't have anything to post. But we did a test yesterday just to get some more kinks out, and I think we maybe are successful. So this should be able to be recorded and posted. That said, there's not a lot different. That could be fortunately, that could be unfortunately, but there's not a lot different to report to everybody since our last meeting. We continue the big issue right now, as I believe I reported to you guys at the last meeting, was Prospect's request for a change of effective control before the state regulators. I have objected to that. Tom Hemmendinger, the liquidating receiver, has objected to that. And that is right now pending both before the regulators. It's in front of the Health Services Council at this point, which is a preliminary regulatory process prior to going to the Department of Health. And it is also in front of Judge Stern for portions of it, excuse me. Luckily we have a screen. I don't have COVID, but luckily we've got the screen between us and several miles apparently. But it's in front of Judge Stern as well. We have objected to the application. We are seeking some relief in front of Judge Stern with regard to Prospects Counsel, where we feel that counsel who's representing them now should not be representing them because we believe they've got a connection to the old hospitals, Tom Hemmendinger, who's in control of those as a result of the liquidating receivership. That's been the primary focus of our efforts at this point. As I've reported to you, the phone lines are always open for a discussion with regard to any type of settlement. Obviously, discussions on settlement don't necessarily mean that we will reach a settlement because the parties may have very different ideas as to the value and likelihood of success on the case. But the phone lines are open, and those discussions, I will say, there are discussions with certain parties, but nothing that I can report on because we are still in discussion, and I will tell you we're not close right now. But that doesn't mean we won't be or it won't happen. But right now, I don't have anything to report. There is a hearing coming up, I believe it's on Friday, with regard to in front of Judge Stern, with regard to the issue I just raised, which was counsel for Prospect. Also, they have filed a motion to adjudge myself and Tom Hemmendinger in contempt. You may have seen that posted to the website. The basis of that is their argument is that when they filed the change of effective control application, there is an order that was entered by the court back, I believe it was November of 2018, which stated that we would not take, I wouldn't take, and at that time, Tom Hemmendinger wasn't in place, but I guess they're taking the position that the legacy hospitals would not take any action without giving them 20 days advance notice of us taking any action. So that's the basis for their contempt. We've responded to it. For purposes that I've told you guys before, I'm not going to get into the merits of their argument or ours here, especially seeing as we have a argument coming up in 2 days. But obviously, once that argument's had, we can talk about it a little bit more. Hopefully, I don't know if the judge will issue a decision on Friday, But whenever that decision is issued, whether it be Friday or sometime thereafter, I will obviously post it, and then we'll have another meeting probably shortly thereafter. Other than that, everything else is, for lack of a better way to put it, status quo. The federal litigation is still pursuing on the schedule that Judge Smith has set for discovery at this point. There are motions for summary judgment and objections that have been filed and will be heard. I don't think that they've been assigned a date yet. I don't know if Julie can confirm that or not. I don't know if we lost Julie.
No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Do you know if there's a date on the summary judgment motions in federal court?
Federal motions have not been set for hearing yet.
Okay, thank you. So we have motions have been filed, cross motions, objections, things of that nature. They're all on the web. Everything that's been filed is up on the website for you guys to read, but nothing yet has been set down for hearing. So with that, that's about as thorough of an update I can give you at this point based on the past 6 weeks. I'm sorry. Julie, was that you or was that somebody else?
It was not me.
Okay. So with that, I will take any questions. Anybody who has any questions? If you have a question, you can take yourself off mute.
Steve, John Brigette.
Hey, John.
Any statutes, any report on the change with the PBGC?
There is nothing new to report with the PBGC. They continue to receive all the documents that are filed in the various proceedings, federal and state in this case. They have asked me for what I'll call a routine request for certain information. So they are still very much aware of what's going on. They actually there were some things filed today, which they received via email today. It goes, not only does it go to the PBGC, but it goes to the Department of Labor, as well as to the IRS. So they are still being informed on a regular basis. But as we sit here today, there's no difference in the position or lack of position taken by any of those federal agencies relative to this plan. Any other questions?
Yeah, Barbara Robbins Bowery here.
Hey, Barbara.
Hi, do you see a light at the end of this tunnel at all?
I do see a light. It's just, the question is how dim is it because of its length away?
Right.
So that is all going to depend on whether or not we are able to engage in what I'm going to call meaningful settlement discussions with all the parties. Keep in mind, as of right now, the defendants left in this case are the diocesan entities, the prospect entities, and Angel Pension. In order for this case to conclude without having to go to trial, which I will tell you right now, if we have to go to trial with any one of them, we're probably talking about, I'd say, anywhere from 3 years, maybe 5 years, depending on how quickly we can move things on trial. Obviously, if we settle, that obviously negates the need for trial, and we can settle the case. That also does not take into account the unknown, which John Brigette just asked about, which is what, if anything, the federal agencies are going to do. So as I sit here with you right now to answer your question, if the federal agencies take no action, and if we are unable to settle with the defendants that are still remaining in the case, and the case continues forward because the court doesn't throw it out, that's what summary judgment they're asking for decisions to be made, and to be made quickly now. Then we're probably looking at a window of somewhere in the vicinity of 3 to 5 years. Obviously, it's my hope to, I believe it's not worth the time or the money to pursue things if we can get a reasonable settlement.
Right.
And I say reasonable because a settlement, just because somebody offers a settlement doesn't mean it may be worth taking. So if we get offers presented to us, and you'll know when I have an offer that is acceptable to me, if I have an offer that's acceptable to me, because I'm required to bring it to the court's attention and ask the court to authorize me to enter into the settlement. So it'll have to be presented to Judge Stern and or Judge Smith in extensive detail to explain the terms of the settlement and why or why not parties believe that it's a reasonable settlement to enter into. Absent that, though, the track for litigation is probably somewhere in the vicinity of 3 to 5 years.
Thank you.
Or anybody else? If you have a question, just take yourself off mute. There are lots of people that don't have video. So
Dave?
yes, Ken.
My usual question, what is the cash value of the pension?
Ah.
Right now?
I think Julie probably has that at her fingertips right now. So I'm going to ask Julie if she has that answer. If not, then we will, I'll email it to people.
I will in 1 minute.
Okay. So Ken, give us a minute and we'll have that answer.
Okay, and also is the monthly payout still about $1 million?
The monthly payout is still about $1 million. Yes. Obviously that fluctuates for various reasons. New people are applying for benefits. Some people are no longer receiving benefits for one reason or another. So there are various reasons why that fluctuates, but we are still functioning on approximately, for benefit payments, slightly south of $1 million a month. And then there are other expenses related to the plan that push that number up on a monthly basis, maybe to about 1.1, 1.2. And when I say I average out the monthly, because obviously, for example, we have a PBGC payment that's due annually. But when I'm talking about the monthly outlay of cash, I amortize that single month expense over the course of 12. So just to use simple math, because it's better for me, if it's a $1.2 million payment to the PBGC, then I'm including $100,000 per month going out the door for benefit and plan related expenses. Does that make sense, Ken?
Yes, it does.
Okay. While Julie looks for that number, are there any other, Julie, just yell when you've got it. Any other questions?
Are you doing the same cadence with a 6-week interval between the meetings?
I am, relatively speaking, six, 7. If there's something that happens that I think is important, then I may call it earlier. If we happen to land on, let's say, the Thanksgiving holiday, then I'll roll it a week further out. But yes, I'm going to try to keep this on approximately a 6-week schedule for these meetings. I think that works. Sometimes it may be frustrating to hear that there hasn't been much progress that actually, 1 second. I apologize for that. I don't know if I went dark, but your screen went dark for me. It's frustrating sometimes to have these meetings and not have a ton of information. But that's the nature of the way we're dealing with, the Health Services Council and the CEC was something we weren't anticipating. And that kind of created another issue for us to have to respond to. And obviously when that happens, it, at least on some level, shifts the focus from some things over to that. So it can be frustrating, but I think 6 weeks is a good time frame because I don't want too much time, COVID went by and we went months and that wasn't good. So 6 weeks is a good time frame to keep this going.
Steve, how many people,
You're still muted.
how many people are eligible to join but have not yet joined?
You mean how many people are eligible to receive benefits but have not yet asked?
Yes.
I don't have that answer right now, John. I can ask, that would be a question that I have to ask GRS, the actuary, as well as Bank of America. So I'll have to get those two coordinated to give me that answer, because that's going to be based on ages and qualification. I'll have to break that down between those that are eligible for early retirement versus standard retirement and things of that nature. So I can get that information to you. I just don't have it right now.
Thank you.
Sure. Julie, any luck on the value? Take that as a no. Any other questions? Any other questions? Julie,
Hi,
oh,
Carol here. Can I ask a question?
absolutely, you can.
I'm just a little concerned, I think, with the diocese being involved in this and hearing, I know the word of mouth was that the bishop may be retiring somewhat soon. Is that at all a concern for this suit? Just wondering, it just has been on my mind.
No, I mean, the bishop is a named party as a defendant, as is the diocese. So there are multiple entities related to the diocese that are defendants. The bishop's retirement does not impact the lawsuit. He'll still be a defendant. He'll still be, to the extent that we get there, we will still go through the litigation process. I'm assuming that even as a retired bishop, he will still be involved in the case with the diocese as the individual who has the most knowledge of what went on during the times in question. Excuse me. So don't worry about that retirement either derailing or delaying this process. It will not. I see Julie on my screen, like her name, but I don't see.
Another question?
Sure, Ken.
I'm a little confused about, you're saying the people applying,
Yep.
are they, as you apply, are you going to start receiving benefits right away or when it's approved? I thought I thought it was a closed plan.
It's a closed plan, but not everybody is yet receiving benefits. So the plan is closed to new pension participants, but those that were participants at the time that the plan was closed, which predated me, all of those parties are eligible to receive benefits once they hit either the early retirement benchmark or the standard retirement benchmark. And at that time, they can apply for those benefits and they can elect to start taking those benefits. Some people, it's possible that somebody could just inquire as to what would their benefit be today, as opposed to if they waited a couple of years or 5 years or until standard retirement, and they may not elect to actually receive. They're just looking for the information to determine whether or not they want to start receiving. But the plan is closed, Ken. There are no new participants coming in.
Okay.
It's just a question of whether or not those that were in at the time that it closed, whether they've hit those benchmarks that will allow them to start receiving benefits.
Okay, so therefore, new people receiving benefits will almost certainly have a higher payment than those people that are, quote, leaving the plan.
Without having the numbers in front of you, then that's a correct statement, that if somebody who's been receiving benefits for several years is probably receiving a lower dollar amount per month than somebody who is just entering into the range of age where they can receive benefits. And that's a function of many things, the most important being as to the amount of the wage earned during their employment. As you know, as time went on, wages became higher. So the younger people in the plan have had higher earnings while they were working, which would entitle them to a higher benefit payment on a monthly basis.
Okay, that's just seems to me the last time the value of the plan was about something like $68 million.
Yeah.
And I believe said it would run out in about 8 years. And if anything, the payment will probably go up. So it just seems
As,
like that was a little bit on the high side. For
Yeah.
number of years.
I mean, there are a lot of things, obviously, there are a lot of things that come into play in determining how that happens. But obviously, just to, again, use a simple example, if you have 5 people collecting benefits today that are each getting $10 a month, and then one person comes in tomorrow who's making $50 a month, who will get a benefit of $50 a month, obviously that doubles the outlay, and 5 people have to stop receiving benefits to that one in order to balance it back out. So yeah, as time goes on and more people elect, that'll be a bigger drain on the pension plan. That's absolutely true. I will tell you, however, that the projections that were given by the actuaries, both the prior actuary as well as my actuary, now GRS, take all of that into account when they're calculating it. They know that, you know, obviously the people who are applying for benefits today are most likely receiving a much greater monthly benefit payment based on their earnings while they were employed. And so that all of those projections take it into account. So when we talked about, I forget when we last talked about like a runway on this plan, and we said something between 7 to 10 years, I think it might have been. That was all taking into account everything you're talking about right now. Obviously, it's a projection. It's not anything based on a reality. You know, at the time that the 7 to 10 year projection was calculated, we didn't know about the pandemic that we're currently in and what that would do to the market. So a lot of factors come into play, but the projection took all those things into account.
Okay, if we don't have it tonight, if you could just email out or put on the website what the value is.
Yep. Julie, have you been able to find that?
So my remote login will not work with Zoom, so I can't get it, but I will get it and put it on the website.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Any other questions? Going once, going twice. It's nice to see at least some of your faces. I hope everybody's staying healthy.
You too, Steve.
Say that again, Carol.
You too.
Yeah, no,
Stay
so
healthy.
far so good. Knock on wood. So far so good. Mental health is a different issue. But physical health, I'm doing all right.
No kidding. Yep.
I came in late, so I'm not sure if you talked about the 15% ownership, but can you give us an idea of what's happening with that?
That is, right now, the 15% ownership is you're talking about whether or not we're exercising the put to get paid out that amount. As of right now,
Correct.
we have extended the time frame on that. That is still extended. We haven't made a decision, and the time for us to make a decision is still open. We still needed more information, and as I did say, things like Prospect's application for a change of effective control have shifted the focus over to those issues right now, which indirectly implicate that 15% interest. But the simple answer to the question is we have not exercised the put yet. We are not in the time frame where I would have to exercise that put. And as we continue to seek additional financial information to help us to better determine whether or not it makes sense to exercise that put, we continue to push that out. So there is no update in terms of that other than to say I haven't exercised the put and I am not required to, as of yet, to exercise the put on that.
Thank you.
Sure.
Steve, were you the journal today? Chris Kalachi interviewed the Journal. I don't know if you were the article. It was posted on the Pension Facebook today.
I did not see the article. I did not know about that.
Okay.
I will look at it. I will tell you that there was an article that maybe, I'm not sure if, and Julie, we could probably put this on the website as well. There was an article by ProPublica, which was a very lengthy article about the Prospect hospital system. It did not exclusively focus on the Rhode Island hospitals, but it did get into detail about the process of what Prospect is doing here. I will say it was not a very flattering article, and Prospect has responded to it in the court hearings with Judge Stern and to the Health Services Council to say that it was not an accurate depiction of things, but it's a long article and it's a good article.
It's on your website, Steve?
It's not. I can Julie and I can talk about giving you guys the link. It's a web-based article from ProPublica. Peter Elkind was the author of the article. But if you go to ProPublica's website, I don't know if you can search it via Peter Elkind's name, Elkind, or if it's just going to be up there. They just published the article maybe a week ago, and he's been working on it for several months. So this is the article is the result of months and months of research and drafting for him.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Steve,
Yes.
one quick question. If the transfer as proposed by Prospect goes through, what does that do to the 15%?
Oh, God.
It does nothing to the 15%. All it does is it deals with the ownership interest of Leonard Green Partners versus Topper and Lake. So it would just be a transfer of ownership from those parties. It wouldn't affect our 15% at all.
Steve,
Yes.
just to let you know, I Googled ProPublica and then put in Prospect and got the article.
Okay.
So it's
There you go.
actually very easy to find.
Okay. Thank you, Diana.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I'll get that.
Maybe you can get it for me.
Any other questions?
Your window's closed, right?
Keep an eye on the website after Friday, probably next week. If Judge Stern does issue a decision, it'll be posted. The result of it will be posted once the order gets entered, or if he's going to issue a written decision or a bench decision, the transcript or the written decision will be posted. I will tell you, if he issues a decision on Friday, it'll be via order, and that will go up pretty quickly, probably next week or the week after. If he says he's going to issue a bench decision or a written decision, then we're probably talking weeks before we actually get a decision on that. All right.
And that's if they transfer.
Any other questions? If there are no other questions, again, it was good seeing some of you. I hope everybody, whether I can see you or not, stays healthy.
You
And,
too.
I will see.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll see you here in about 6 weeks, sooner if something big happens, and a little different than 6 weeks. I don't know if this will land on Thanksgiving weekend if we go 6 weeks out. Seems like it might, but we'll either be meeting the week before or the week after Thanksgiving. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I see. Stay safe.
Thank
You too.
you.